All right, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Tell me if y'all can hear me. Give me a one in the chat. One in the chat. I drank up all my water. Mad, I can't drink my bottled water. Here we go. Got a little bit left. One if y'all can hear me. I'm using my AirPods. Cause yeah. So y'all, this is very interesting. But before I start, let me start the video off with where's my photos? Let me start it off with my disclaimer, copyright disclaimer. All right, let's take care of the business first and put my glasses back on. I took my glasses off for a second. Okay, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, new reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Is there echo? Was it an echo, y'all? All right, I want to make sure, was it clear what I said? I want everybody to be clear. Okay, all right, so we've gotten that part of business taken care of. From now on, whenever I do a live, I'm going to start it here because they're not going to get me no more. So let me go ahead and do this really quick. Fair use banner going forth, because that means I'm getting ready to talk about some stuff. So y'all, fair use. I'm saying it now at the very beginning. So y'all, I mean, I don't know if anybody has talked about it. But right now, this thing is chaotic right now. Has anybody been watching the news lately and has seen what just recently happened with Rafa? You can just say yes or no if you have. If not, it's a lot that we're finna talk about today. I'll say that much. So it's going down right now. So y'all know that ICC and ICJ has now, I think, put out, or I think they possibly have put the warrant out for Netanyahu's arrest for war crimes. Netanyahu literally told them he ain't following, he ain't coming. The U.S. is behind him saying, well, he don't have to acknowledge it because they're not affiliated with the ICC. Pretty much, they said that you can go ahead and kick rocks. And he's now on a rampage because they're getting on him and the UN is trying to get Bibi to stop doing what Bibi is doing. Bibi is pretty much attacking civilians. And they are now trying to bring him in for arrest. So this last incident is one of the worst incidents I've ever seen since I've been alive and watching these type of things on TV. So how do you say it? UNRWA? Oh, it's Euro. You're right. I can't remember. I'm gonna play the video and they're gonna say it. I'm gonna say it wrong. They have literally attacked a safe zone for them, a safe zone. So Israel has attacked Rafah, which Israel considered that area to be a safe zone. And the stuff that they did, I can't even tell you off the top of my dome. I'm just gonna play the video. It's so much to unpack here. So let me open this. Fair use. Fair use. I'm gonna try to share my screen. Hold on, y'all. Okay, let me share my screen and we can get started. It's not very long. So, first thing, so deadly Israeli attack on refugee tents in Rafah leads aid groups horrified. Israel Defense Force says incident in which at least 35 people were killed is under review. Plus, the right-wing plan to remake the democracy cities. I guess those are two stories. So ignore that second statement I made. So it says, "Good morning. An Israeli airstrike on tents housing displaced Palestinians in Rafah has killed at least 35 people and horrified aid groups, with the death toll likely to rise." And it says here that we are outraged and heartbroken by the recent attacks in West Rafah. Am I unmuted? Let me make sure I was unmuted. Okay. I'm reading the article first. So let me share and then I'm going to read the article, finish reading the article. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I shared it and it didn't share. Okay. So I'm reading this article right here from Material, the Guardian. In the Guardian provides the report of what transpired yesterday. So yesterday there was a deadly bombing, an airstrike in Rafah, where Israelis had conducted the airstrike, and it killed 35 people. The airstrike is so horrific, family, that I can't even show what I saw on X of the photos of the death toll over there. I saw one picture where they were pulling and they set fire to the tents, and they actually used a new um Warcraft, I think, that had not been tested, and the way that they did it, it wasn't even an approved tool of warfare. I'm gonna say it like that. Hold on. There we go. So ultimately, y'all, everybody was shocked because the world saw it. And it was all on Twitter, all the photos. I saw a photo of a man being pulled out of rubble, dead body, burned to a crisp. I saw another picture on Twitter, or X rather, where a baby was decapitated. I saw that on Twitter. And y'all, when I saw it, it brought tears to my eyes. I said, oh my goodness. It is horrible. So this is what I'm reading. So it says deadly Israeli airstrike on refugee tents and Rafah leaves aid groups horrified. So it says here, good morning. An Israeli airstrike on tents housing displaced Palestinians in Rafah has killed at least 35 people and horrified aid groups, with the death toll likely to rise. We are outraged and heartbroken by the recent attacks in West Rafah. Fair use first. Where Israeli fighter jets launched 8 missiles at makeshift shelters housing internally displaced persons uh, next to, I guess, Urawa warehouse stocking vital aid. So I'll stop right here. So ultimately, they were being housed because they were displaced. And a part of that displacement, it was supposed to be a safe zone. So I'm gonna get into that a little bit more. So it says footage from the scene showed widespread destruction at the camp, with a large fire overtaking the area. The Israeli Defense Force said the strike killed two senior Hamas officials and that the incident is under investigation. So ultimately, what they're saying is, yeah, we did all the damage, but we're still able to get by their word only. They're saying that they killed 2 seniors. How do you know? You can't even recognize them. So that's a little fishy. Hold on, now. Here we go. Now here it comes. I don't want to leave him roaming where he can hurt himself. So back to the article right here. The attack came hours. Let me see the footage. The senior officials. Here I am right here. The attack came hours after aid riot sirens sounded in Tel Aviv and across central Israel for the first time. raid. Why I say air raid sirens? I'm sorry, sounded in Tel Aviv across central Israel for the first time since January, after what the ADF said 8 Hamas rockets were fired from Rafah area. Meanwhile, the foreign minister of Germany, a stalwart ally of Israel, said on Monday the UN top court ruling argues Israel is to immediately halt, and its military offensive on the south part of Gaza Strip was binding and must be respected. So, going back to that, ultimately, they're pretty much, the top UN officials are saying, y'all got to stop this. This is ridiculous. So international humanitarian laws applies for all, also for Israel's conduct of the warfare. Annalyn Baerbock. That's Baerbock. That's an interesting name. So is that clear thus far? It's like they're saying you're doing the most. Y'all doing the most, especially when he was saying it here. Like, meanwhile, the foreign minister of Germany, a stalwart ally of Israel, said on Monday the UN's top court ruling urging Israel to immediately halt its military offensives on the south part of Gaza Strip was binding and must be respected. So he said, y'all got to follow this rule. He said, no. So let me get down here. It says, what are aid groups saying? Médecins Sans Frontieres said dozens of dead and injured people were brought to a trauma stabilization points supported by the group. We are horrified by the deadly events, which showed once again that nowhere is safe, it said. The Palestinian Red Crescent said its ambulance crew transported a large group of people killed and injured in Rafah strikes. This is the kicker right here. Y'all pay attention to this part. The group aided that location. The group aided that location of the strike had been the group that aided. This is horribly written. The group aided that the location of the strike had been designated by Israel as a humanitarian area. Adding citizens were coerced, I say that wrong, into evacuating in it. So ultimately, that was a lot of words, but ultimately, that was considered to be a humanitarian location that Israel designated and said, this area y'all can come and hide. This area y'all can come and chill. We're not gonna hurt you. And ultimately, they hurt them. They ended up reneging on what they said they were going to do. They ended up unaliving all those people. I cannot show y'all the photos again because the photos are horrendous. I've never seen this type of stuff. So it's a lot that's said right now. So it says, what is the humanitarian cost of the war? After the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th, killed about 1,200 people and took 250 hostages. Israelis' assault on Gaza has killed at least 35,984 people and injured 80,643 people, according to health officials, with the invasion also decimating Gaza's infrastructure, displacing 80% of the population and bringing people close to famine. Y'all, so I'm gonna play this for y'all and we can talk about it.
استهداف الآن في رفح في مخيم نزوح في منطقة موقع البشوفين. المكان حاول السلطان الآن إقامة النيران لكن لا توجد الآن
احنا قاعدين في امان الله على باب الدار، فجأة الا سمعنا صوت صاروخ، جينا هين نجري لقينا الشارع طيقه مش شايفين ولا حاجه. المهم كيف ما تعرف دخلنا دخلنا في الدار ما لقيناش في احد، طلعنا فوق الحيطه لقينا مره بنت وشاب مقطعين تقطيع.
Pay attention to what he said. He said, when we checked over the wall, we found a girl and a young man cut into pieces.
مقطعين تقطيع. مقطعين تقطيع.
Here's for anybody that wants to look into that article. It's linked right here. Y'all, can y'all hear me fine? I hope so, because I put on my AirPods because I try to be careful of what I play because I'm still in a New York apartment and I live in the midst of Hasidic Jews. So y'all just keep me in y'all's prayers. I'll say that much. I'm very watchful of my surroundings, so know that. But y'all, this is beyond horrific. This is beyond horrific. And they cannot get control of the situation even if they wanted to. What has happened is y'all have fed the beast, and now the beast is doing what the beast does, beastly things. Y'all fed that monster. And he is literally, you saw him say, they found a little girl and a little boy, a young boy and a young boy, chopped into pieces. Chopped into pieces. Y'all, this is beyond anything that we would consider to be. This is just words can't explain right now. I am speechless. I am speechless. So you how do you say UNRWA? UNRWA, I think that's how you say it. UNRWA is I guess an affiliate of the UN that supports the Palestinians. Let's look and see. Because where I'm about to go, because understand that while they were over there, the UN group that was seen to them was UNRWA. UNRWA. I think I'm saying it right. UNRWA. And they are advocates for, I think, the Palestinian community. Just like and provide aid. So this is the group that was over there in Palestine making sure people had aid. And that's also the group that, and I'm gonna go into another video, and y'all gonna see what's going on. So they're the group that's affiliated with the UN, and they and anything related to them and the Palestinians, they want out. So let me see. Let me find who they are. It's not giving me enough information. So the United Relief and Work Agency for the Palestinian Refugees in the Near East. So this is a group within the UN that provides that assistance for them. So they were there and they're trying to assist the displaced Palestinians. And again, they're a part of the UN, and you know that they lied and they said that people said that they knew that October 7th was going to come, and then the U.S. decided they were going to stop funding that particular segment of the UN because they felt like they supported the Palestinian movement, and they knew that October 7th was going to happen. And then when I later on found out that they found out it wasn't true, and I'm like, wow. So Is everything adding up? Does it make sense? Am I laying it out good for y'all to see all the stuff that's going on right now? Because I tell people this, I said, the way that they're doing the Palestinians is no different than how they have done us in the past and what they could possibly attempt to do now if they wanted to. No different. No different than what the U.S. did to the Native Americans. No different than what the U.S. did to the Mexicans that once owned the other half of the U.S. No different. Same beast. Same beast, taking the same process and doing the same thing. It's the same beast, just in another land. So I'm gonna play this video for y'all. Now keep in mind, this happened yesterday. At the same time of this going on, here's my video. Let me find my video. Hold on. The Israeli Knesset votes to approve a bill to, this is Al Jazeera, approve a bill to designate UNRWA as a terror organization. How are you, Saints? It gets more and more, the rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper. So ultimately, the Israeli has the Knesset, which is a group of Israeli leaders that come together and they make decisions. I've heard people talk about the Knesset numerous times, but they came together and said, we're going to call this UN group a terrorist group now, or a terror organization. How are they a terror organization when they're over there trying to make sure that the Palestinians eat, trying to make sure that they don't go into a famine, and y'all just bomb that area while they're there? Not to mention, y'all remember, and anything you know about warfare, and somebody said this, that they have signs to let you know when you're going into war not to touch them. Like if you're doing something, that's why you see a red cross or something like that on top of a van so that people can know not to bomb them. Or they have like a church. You can't bomb any agencies that's trying to help the civilians. That's the rule of warfare. You're not supposed to. What did they do here about a month ago? Bombed a UN van that was taking food and feeding the Palestinians. It was trying to see to the Palestinians. So literally, Israel is saying, I will bomb the UN if y'all don't do what I tell y'all to do. He has no regard for the UN. Y'all have fed this beast, and now this beast is out of control. He's literally telling the UN and the ICC and the ICJ, y'all can say what y'all want to do. Y'all can put out a warrant if y'all want to. I'm still going to do what I want to do. That's his attitude right now. In fact, let me prove it to you. Bam, last night. Bam, bam, bombing them folks left and right, setting their tents on fire in a safe zone that they designated as a safe zone. And they making US and the UN and ICC and ICCJ look foolish, because what he's doing is he's pulling out his card and say, I run this. What y'all gonna do? Y'all want to arrest me? Okay, but let me show y'all what I'm gonna do. I bet, and it's like an attitude of I bet you won't do nothing. Y'all remember that? There's younger, like I bet you won't do nothing, and that's the attitude right now. Like I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing about it. So let's go to this video real quick.
Has voted to approve a bill that would designate the UN's Agency for Palestinian Refugees
Now keep in mind, this video came out. Hold on, why is
I don't see an app for that.
Okay.
You'll need to.
Maybe just, y'all, hold on. Hold on.
There's an issue with your Apple Music account. To resolve this, check.
What is going on with my, hold on, y'all. Y'all, that was weird. All of a sudden, my thing popped up. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get back on it. So, did y'all see that? I didn't even say that name to make it pop up, and it just popped up. That was weird. Well, I'm going to continue on.
As a terrorist organization. The bill also calls for a Well, Israel's parliament has voted to approve a bill that would designate the UN's Agency for Palestinian Refugees as a terrorist organization. The bill also calls for a complete severing of ties from UNRWA. Israel previously said UNRWA employees took part in the October 7th attacks, but an independent review concluded there's no evidence to back that claim. The bill still needs to clear several more steps before being implemented. Chris Gunness is a former UNRWA spokesman, and he joins us now live from London. Sir, a good day. Want to get your reaction, first and foremost, to the Israeli Knesset approving this draft bill on declaring UNRWA a terrorist organization.
Well, there is absolutely no evidence, as provided by the independent Kelowna report, which investigated these allegations. It was very clear that Israel has produced absolutely no evidence for these allegations. So the Israeli parliamentary Knesset moves are based on the mother of all lies, as far as I'm concerned. There is no evidence against UNRWA. And let me be clear, it is the UN General Assembly, the community of civilized nations, that gives UNRWA its mandate, and only the UN General Assembly can change that mandate. So it is not a question of one UN member state that's gone rogue, that decides that it's going to end the mandate of UNRWA. That's not how it works. So I'm afraid to say that UNRWA's life-saving work, given what we saw yesterday, must and will continue. And that is a determination which ultimately rests with the General Assembly of the United Nations, where there are nearly 200 member states.
And I want to talk to you about those overnight horrific scenes that we simply, cannot be unseen. The attack on the makeshift tent camp housing internally displaced persons that was recently established, I understand, near an UNRWA warehouse because it was designated as a safe area. I mean, at this stage, does the responsibility to protect, the responsibility to prevent atrocities even apply anymore to Gaza?
Well, let's talk about the responsibilities of the 153 state parties to the Genocide Convention. Let's talk about the responsibilities of the 124 signatories to the Rome Statute, which sets out the rules of war according to the International Criminal Court. Now, the ICJ just a few days ago made it very clear through its provisional instructions that Israel has to call off its Rafah offensive. Just 3 days later, what do we have? We have this outrageous attack. It was clearly disproportionate. It was clearly
I gotta turn that. I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna turn that off. But fair use. Let me say that next. Let me make sure I say that. But right now, it's in a situation where this incident that happened on yesterday was blatant. It was beyond blatant. Fair use. I keep saying that. It was blatant. Rio, chill out. And it was for the world to see. They wanted us to see it. That's why I made it to X. Because, X is being regulated. They had to get checked and go over there and watch a video. Had to go to Israel and ask for an apology. Elon Musk did. So Musk did. So you know he ain't gonna let nothing slip through the cracks unless they wanted to let slip through the cracks. So I really believe what they did yesterday, what Israel did yesterday, they wanted the world to see, to strong arm us, to say, y'all don't run nothing. Y'all don't run nothing at all. Let me show y'all what happens when you open your mouth at us. That's literally what it felt like yesterday. Yep, that's exactly. Literally, they said basically what they said was, who gonna stop me, boo? Who gonna stop me? That's their attitude. Like, who gonna stop me? That's why those, and it was key pictures that was pulled up in that was made available on X. Key pictures. When have you ever seen a picture of a baby being decapitated without it being taken down? That picture is still up. Last I checked this morning, that picture is still up. It ain't came down yet. How many times have we allowed a picture made it to X and is still up on X of a baby decapitated with no head? The daddy is holding the baby up for the world to see, and the baby's arms are just dead, and that's all you see is a body and no head. When have you? I said, wait a minute, hold on. They ain't took this down yet. You see videos of them literally pull. These are videos out on X where you literally see them pulling charred bodies out of the rubble. And they ain't took it down yet. As strict as these social medias are, I said, no, they're not going to take it down because they're sending a message to the ICC and ICJ and the UN and any other country that is standing up against them. Y'all don't run nothing. Y'all don't, and they literally saying it to me. Bibi is literally saying, y'all are not in charge of this. I am. And then the Israeli Knesset said, we're going to do one even better for you. UNRWA, that's how you spell it, UNRWA, we're going to consider them as a terrorist organization. UN, your group, the UN group, a segment of the UN, we're going to go ahead and make y'all a terrorist organization. Now, keep in mind, this is just the Israeli Knesset, which I think governments have to go and talk to them. When you mess up, you go to them. When you do it, Knesset, it's almost like the Pharisaical group that made a decision about Christ. That's the same thing. It's the same panel of diplomats within Israel. I think they consist of a bunch of rabbis. So when we see people go over there and apologize, I really believe that's who they go and apologize to. I believe that. But they made a ruling to say, we have approved the bill to designate them as a terror organization. So guess what happens when they designate them as a terror organization? Now we're coming for y'all. So that they're putting the stamp of approval that while I'm bombing, because I consider you to be a terrorist organization, I can bomb y'all as well. Yep, it's the Israeli Senate. You're right. That's the best way to put it. Israeli Senate. That is what they are, the Israeli Senate. They made the call and said, we're going to make the decision. Y'all are, UNRWA, you are officially a terrorist organization. UN ain't, and a little bit, Israel is going to isolate themselves where the UN ain't going to be able to help them. ICC and ICJ ain't going to help them. I literally see Israel coming at them and going to war with them. If the U.S. take their side, he coming to war for us. What he's saying is coming to a city near you. If you fight me, y'all see these warplanes that I got that ain't approved? These my warplanes. I'm coming for y'all. That's literally what I'm getting from him. Let me prove to y'all what happened. Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all what happens when you disagree with us. And they blatantly put it out there.
Indiscriminate, and it took place in an area designated as a safe zone by the Israeli. Indiscriminate, and it took has to call off its Rafah offensive. Just 3 days later, what do we have? We have this outrageous attack. It was clearly disproportionate.
So, and they told them 3 days ago, you're going to have to call it off. And they said, no, you're not going to call it off. This is what we're finna do. UN said, stop it. They called them out, told them to stand down. UN told Israel to literally stand down 3 days ago. And this is what they did. They proved you they ain't standing down.
It was clearly indiscriminate, and it took place in an area designated as a safe zone by the Israeli army. I hope, and I'm sure, that the United Nations agencies and other international workers working with Palestinian partners are gathering evidence, and I would urge that evidence to be sent immediately to The Hague, to the International Court of Justice, which has made it clear that people need to be protected from these genocidal attacks. And I would hope that the 153 state parties to the Genocide Convention, who have an obligation to make sure that that convention is implemented in full, I hope it is urging robust action from that court. And as far as the ICC is concerned, Karim Khan, the prosecutor at the ICC, has made it clear that he would like to see arrest warrants for Yoav Gallant and Benjamin Netanyahu. They will have been completely briefed on this attack. They will know that there were hundreds and hundreds of people, innocent civilians, in makeshift tented areas near to a UN facility when this attack took place. They would know that the military advantage, killing 2 Hamas operatives, which apparently is what they say they have done, does not justify an attack. There has to be a distinguishing between combatants and non-combatants. The weaponry used has to be proportionate to the military advantage. None of that in this case was followed, and I hope that the ICC and the ICJ will act immediately and robustly, because this is a blatant violation of their own rules of war.
What is become now painfully clear is that UNRWA places are also no longer safe havens. I mean, the organization is in the crosshairs, but also the schools and all the other establishments that were previously run by UNRWA are now fair game, it seems.
Well, this is the tragedy, that hundreds of thousands of people thought that they could take refuge under the light blue UN flag. They thought that if they came to international facilities, that they would be safe. And what has Israel done? It has said, no, nowhere is safe in Gaza. And that's why it's so important that the offensive must be called off immediately and that international justice must run its course. I'm sure that the 3 judges at the pre-trial chamber in the ICC, that Karim Khan is asking for these arrest warrants against Gallant and Netanyahu, I'm sure those 3 judges are as horrified as the rest of the world about these attacks. And let us pray that in the most appalling circumstances, what we're now seeing is pressure building up for the—
I was waiting for him to find a pause so that I could say something. He's saying that. They literally saying, you ain't safe here. Bibi is literally saying nobody's safe. And I really believe this too. I really believe NATO's probably going to be completely broken up now. NATO will more likely be just Israel and US only. Now, I believe that. I believe that this is going to break everybody up. Break everybody up. Israel and the United States are going to become one. I believe that. I really believe that. And that's what it's turning towards, because I'm going to show some more videos where the U.S. now is, they're scared. They're scared they're going to get brought in for war crimes. Because just like with ICC coming for Israel and ICJ coming for Israel for war crimes, you are considered to be, what is a good word for it? You are considered to be an accomplice. You may not have physically done it, but you are an accomplice to the war crime. Literally.
these arrest warrants to go out, and let us pray that those countries, those members of the civilized nations in the world will realize that they have responsibilities to implement these conventions which they have signed up to. So let us pray that we're now going to move forward with arrest warrants against Gallant and Netanyahu. They need now to become wanted war criminals. And let us pray that the International Court of Justice will realize that we're now seeing blatant disregard for the Genocide Convention. There is no exception to the Genocide Convention. You can't say, well, Hamas was sending rockets from this area. No, there are no excuses. This is the crime of crimes. It brooks no exception. And we have to be very clear about this. It's not good enough for the Israelis to turn around and say, well, we killed 2 Hamas people, they fired rockets into Tel Aviv. No, the Genocide Convention is absolute, and these provisional measures brook no exception.
Chris Gunness, former UNRWA spokesperson, joining us from London. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.
Y'all, this is going to be very interesting. We've been saying we're gonna start saying more and 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 more things, to the point that it's gonna get so out of control. This isn't even the worst, y'all. It gets worse from here. That's how I see it. We're gonna start seeing more stuff. Even with the U.S. trying to implement laws to protect them, we're gonna start probably seeing some of this stuff over here. Not quite what they're seeing in Palestine, but Israel wants total dominance. They want total control. And that's what they want. Based on Bibi wants total control. Bibi wants total control. Bibi don't care nothing about what any court, international court system says. Because he literally, a couple of days ago, I saw something, they said he called the ICC anti-Semitic. Somebody said 95% of the world is 95%. 95% of the world is anti-Semitic now. But world dominance, they want control. Bibi is showing y'all, I got control. I'm going to do what I want to do. Forget y'all at the end of the day. Y'all. So, I'm going to play this video. So Lindsey Graham came out with this. Let's see which one I'm going to go to first, because I got a couple of them I want to show. So it's so bad that they don't know how to stop it. So let's see. So Lindsey Graham right now, and I'm going to say fair use again. Hold on, let me cue this up. Let me share this. Fair use, fair use.
All right, Senator Lindsey Graham got an unexpected reaction yesterday when raising the question of whether or not the ICC requesting warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant means there could be implications for American leaders as well. Let's take a listen.
So we, hopefully, together will find a way to rest our displeasure with the ICC, because if they'll do this to Israel, we're next. This group tried to come after our soldiers. Yeah, you can clap all you want to. They tried to come after our soldiers in Afghanistan, but reason prevailed. So at the end of the day here, what I hope to happen is that we level sanctions against the ICC for this outrage to not only help our friends in Israel, but protect ourselves over time. Mr. Secretary, your statement yesterday was excellent. The president's statement was excellent. Senator Schumer's statement on the floor was excellent about the outrage here. They have destroyed the notion of complementarity. They have misled people in the United States Senate about their intention, and they shall and will pay a price. Ms. Secretary, I appreciate what you've said. It is now time for us to act.
All right. So I don't think he expected to get applause from the crowd for that particular idea. But I do think it really exposes how a lot of people in the American public outside the inside baseball field of the blob thinks about what's going on here. Is this really about rule of law and international standards, or is this about different rules for me as there are for thee, and basically using international law to shield not just the United States, but our allies and proxies like Israel?
Yes, I am conflicted. On the one hand, I have, as comes across in our discussions, a deep skepticism of international law and sort of international organizations and authorities. On the other hand, the idea of all of our politicians, literally all of them, being arrested for war crimes or crimes against humanity or civil liberties violations is somewhat appealing. So I might have been in the crowd there cheering. And yes, the idea of it prompts an immediate, it is understandable by why someone responds that way, to say, Lindsey Graham saying, oh no, if these people are held accountable, that means they'll try to hold me accountable. Like, yeah, that's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly.
That's a good thing. However, ultimately, I mean, who's doing, yes, in some sense, a larger government, an international authority doing this, it speaks to I agreed with you yesterday, hypocrisy of saying that Putin should be held accountable under this organization that he is not, that Russia is not a party to, that we're not a party to, that Israel is not a party to. It invites this exact kind of criticism. But at the same time, I just frankly don't think that the ICC is the right this is the right way.
Fair use. So I'm going to play a video of what Netanyahu said, let me see, is it this? Hold on, make sure I got the right video. Oh my God. Here's somebody at the front door, so I was trying to see what's going on. That was just a person trying to get the garbage together. So this was the message. Pretty much Nettie said he don't care nothing about what these folks saying. So hey Wiggins, I'm on a live. I'm almost. Yeah, that was Wiggins. Hold on. They love to call when I'm doing a live. Hold on.
Hear this to believe this. The International Criminal Court in The Hague is contemplating issuing arrest warrants against senior Israeli government and military officials as war criminals. This would be an outrage of historic proportions. International bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors, to prevent future genocides. Yet now, the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people.
Wait a minute. Pay
They
attention to
were
this
set
little
up
part
to
right here.
prevent such
Play this part over there.
international bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors, to prevent future genocides. Yet now, the International Court is trying to put it.
Ultimately, what he's saying was it was created to protect their interests. Because you remember that the guy from I played a couple of days ago that diplomatic official said something to the prosecuting attorney with the ICC that ICC was created for Africa and people like Putin, not Israel. So he tells you right here, he said it was created right after the Holocaust to prevent genocide. Yeah.
Israel in the dock. It's trying to put us in the dock as we defend ourselves against genocidal terrorists and regimes, Iran, of course, that openly works to destroy the one and only Jewish state. Branding Israel's leaders and soldiers as war criminals will pour jet fuel on the fires of anti-Semitism, those fires that are already raging on the campuses of America and across capitals around the world. It will also be the first time that a democratic country fighting for its life according to the rules of war is itself accused of war crimes. The Israeli army, the IDF, is one of the most moral militaries in the world. It takes endless measures to prevent civilian casualties, measures that no other army takes. It does so while fighting a terrorist enemy which uses its own civilians as human shields. You know the truth. Hamas places its weapons, its terrorists, in hospitals, schools, mosques, and throughout civilian areas. They do this in order to win immunity and to maximize civilian casualties. So while Hamas shows no care for the lives of Palestinians and steals humanitarian aid meant for civilians, Israel is facilitating a surge of humanitarian assistance to Gaza. And we do this to ensure that the Palestinian population's humanitarian needs are met, rather than commend Israel for.
So he said they're there to ensure that they commit to the humanitarian aid of the people of Gaza. And this video was done 3 weeks ago, y'all. Keep in mind, the statement that he made was 3 weeks ago. Look where we are now. Look where we are now. Today, we're all sitting here talking about the same humanitarian aid that was supposed to be provided to them within an area of Rafah was literally bombed yesterday. Why would make it make sense, y'all? That last video, they said that the man said he found a young boy and a young girl chopped to pieces. Baby was decapitated. They're not Hamas. They're babies. They're children. How is it looking for Hamas and doing that? Man, y'all.
Abiding by the rules of war while fighting an enemy that violates every rule of war, including holding 133 Israeli men, women, and children hostage. Who's the ICC targeting? The democracy called Israel. And in targeting Israel, the ICC would be targeting all democracies because it would be undermining their inherent right to defend themselves against savage terrorism and wanton aggression. Clearly, this threat by the ICC is not an attempt to enforce the law. Israel is not even subject to the court's jurisdiction, and it has an independent legal system that rigorously investigates all violations of the law. Rather, this ICC attempt is an attempt to paralyze Israel's very ability to defend itself. The government and people of Israel reject outright this grave threat to our security, this grave threat to our very existence. And I want to assure you, no ICC action will impact Israel's ironclad determination to achieve the goals of our war with Hamas terrorists. We will destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities in Gaza. We will release all our hostages, and we will ensure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again. Israel expects the leaders of the free world to stand firmly against the ICC outrageous assault on Israel's inherent right of self-defense. We expect them to use all the means at their disposal to stop this dangerous move.
Y'all, this is so interesting. This is like a level of arrogance I've never seen before in my life. A level of arrogance, like I can kill everybody if I want to. Y'all still gonna do what I say.
6 months after the terrible
There he
Hamas
is.
massacre of October 7th, 80 years after the horrors of the Holocaust, the Jewish state calls on decent people everywhere to reject this outrage by the ICC, to stand with Israel as we fight the barbarians of Hamas in Iran and as we work to secure a more peaceful world.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for coming.
There are reports now that the Israeli army is advancing into Rafah. Can you just tell us the state of play and what the plan is at this hour?
What we're doing is what we have to do to win this war. We have to.
Man, I want to play that video I just saw, but I want to look at it and vet it first. But y'all, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Regardless of what they're saying. And Cindy, I want to give you some props. Sis. You gave me some good information when it comes to prophecy. I'm listening to you now. I'm watching what you're saying, sis. You provide some good insight. You didn't open my eyes to something that I just saw that you said. But y'all, I'm telling y'all, this is going to be interesting because right now they're in a situation where they're concerned. U.S. is concerned. Blood is on their hands. And now Israel's global image is just a mess right now. I'll play another one for you, and then I'm chill with the videos just for a second. So right here, CNN is talking about fair use, the global image of Israel. I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, I said, because of mainstream media and YouTube outlets and social media, the image has shifted because people can see really what's going on. They can actually see, and really have real talk that we're not just depending upon the regulated or controlled news environments, but we are listening to other people who are paying attention to what's going on and have insight, like Democracy Now! She's very good. I'm always promote her. I don't care what color she is. Y'all, some people like, that's just, I don't care. You got to give folks props. And she's very, very, very much so non-biased in her approach in reporting to news. So I give her props. The Hill, they standing firm. You got two sides, opposing sides, giving their viewpoints, but yet it's still very much balanced by two different viewpoints. So because of these outlets, TikTok and some of the outlets on YouTube that make it through the algorithm, people are seeing things differently and asking questions that they did not want us to ask. They're seeing what's happening, because if we didn't have this and we just had the news, we wouldn't see all this stuff that was going on. Because I don't think they started really reporting on it until today. And this happened yesterday. This should have been, this is interesting. So it's a global shift in the image. Let me see. Plus, folks broke and they tired of paying for everybody to war, including Ukraine. Like, quit sending. We need money for our economy. So that's another thing within itself.
Lowenstein is a journalist and author of The Palestine Laboratory. He joins me now from Sydney, Australia. Good to see you, Anthony. The ICJ call for Israel to immediately halt its Rafah offensive. It really is just the latest sign of international condemnation of how Israel has prosecuted the war. The Guardian newspaper, in fact, had a headline the other day saying, quote, isolated abroad, torn apart at home. So more countries are recognizing a Palestinian state. How much has the war damaged Israel's international standing?
Hugely, in a short answer. And even before October 7, in fact, there was evidence, particularly with young Americans and young people in many Western countries especially, that their view of Israel, particularly its occupation of the West Bank and Gaza, which has been going on for decades, was massively damaging its image. But since October 7 and the last 7+ months of just brutal bombardment and mass killing, that has plummeted. And essentially we're seeing all these various student encampments around the world, some universities being much more receptive. For example, Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland has been open to divesting from Israeli support, Israeli companies that are operating in the occupied West Bank. That kind of thing will continue to happen. Doesn't mean there's not support for Israel. The US, the UK, frankly, much of Europe still does support Israel. But there's definitely been a sea change in the last 7 months.
You've written and said a lot about this. I mean, how badly did Israel miscalculate international reaction to how it's conducted the war in terms of civilian deaths and damage caused? And do you think that damage could be long-lasting?
Miscalculated in a way, although not surprising from its perspective, because essentially for decades there's been complete impunity. I mean, Israel has never seriously faced any real backlash. There's never been real sanctions, never been any accountability at the ICC or anywhere else for that matter. So Israel, I think...
Hey, who on me? I'm in a live. Hold on 1 second. So Antonio.
Thought that we could kill huge amounts of Palestinians in Gaza and pretty much get away with it. And it's important to note that for many countries, they do accept that. In fact, they support it very strongly by sending arms and other things. But certainly globally, I think they have been, when I say they, many in Israel, maybe not the government, but many in Israel have been shocked to some extent by how unwilling many people are to accept the Israeli claims and crimes in Gaza, let alone what's happening in the West Bank now, which is massive increase in violence by radical state-backed settlers. So Israel faces not just a potential image problem, but also an economic problem in years to come with potential sanctions and an arms embargo, which may well happen from some states.
You mentioned the government. I mean, could the makeup of Israel's current government, the far-right influence and so on, and the comments of even the Prime Minister of Israel that it will stand alone if it has to and so on, given all of that, does it appear Israel's leader actually care what the international community thinks at this point?
Well, he cares about the US. I mean, America obviously has been, under Joe Biden, 110% supportive. I mean, we hear about Joe Biden being concerned and certain red lines. It's all been nonsense. What matters is the arms keep flowing. And we've seen the US response in the last week or so to the ICC case, 110% backing of Israel. It's also worth saying here that
y'all see that? That's very interesting. That image is changing and is shifting, y'all. Beyond our control. Social media was not their social media. They didn't think social media was going to have that much momentum. But when you're dealing with a whole generation of individuals that live and eat off of social media, like TikTok and YouTube, they're going to look for their information there. So that's interesting, though.
Alternatives to Netanyahu, Benny Gantz, Yair Lapid, who have been in government before or even in the war cabinet in terms of Gantz, have come out backing the government in Israel in terms of its war aims in Gaza. So the idea that Netanyahu having a far-right government is making it less likely to change, if Netanyahu falls, the policies are going to remain remarkably similar. And that, I think, is the problem that many Israel supporters have, is that the image problem is not simply better PR, it's actually changing the policy, end the occupation, stop the war. But they don't seem to be listening to that yet.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this too. Israelis can, and Israelis tell me this too, they can access whatever media they want. But in terms of the domestic coverage, or most of it, do they even see many of the images of suffering and damage that the rest of the world sees in their mainstream media? Or are they in a way shielded from it by most domestic media? Not all, but most. And how does that play into public opinion in Israel?
I would call willful blindness. You're right. I mean, what's interesting in Israel is it's not a dictatorship in Israel itself. In other words, it's not a situation like in other states where certain information is literally blocked by the state. The information is there. The images of mass destruction in Gaza. The vast bulk of the Israeli media has kind of become quite similar, I would argue, to the US media after 9/11, kind of in this furious patriotic fervor, to the point where Israeli soldiers, even in the last few days, something has gone viral of an Israeli soldier in Gaza posting online images of literally burning books, Palestinian books. So I think a lot of Israelis might be shocked by the international response, but if they choose not to see what's going on in Gaza, that's their choice. And they're going to be paying a pretty high price for it in years to come.
We're almost out of time, but I wanted to squeeze this in real quick. You've literally written a book about this next question, the Palestine Laboratory. How has Israel's international arms industry benefited from this war globally? Real quick.
Well, so far, very well. I mean, just a few days ago, one AI company raised tens of millions of dollars for something that they'd been testing actually in Gaza since October 7. At various global arms fairs, Israel is selling.
Enough of that. So ultimately, I had to stop it because it was repeating. It was becoming repetitive. Ultimately, to sum it up, the image has ultimately changed and there's no way of turning back from it. So much has been done since October 7th. There's nothing else that you could do. It is a lot going on, y'all. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on within the countries. It's a lot going on with this war. We've been saying we're finna have World War III, y'all. This is screaming World War III. I ain't got the time for it, but it is what it is, y'all. Because you have the beast system is being slowly revealed as being the beast system. You have the US pretty much about to become isolated because of their support of Israel. Fair use of everything that was shown. You have China. Y'all must not forget China and Taiwan about to fight it out. They about to fight it out. You still got Russia and Ukraine. You got Iran. You got Saudi Arabia now trying to say something. All of UN is saying, Israel, have y'all lost y'all mind? Israel is like, I run y'all. It's so much going on. I don't think it's is there a silent player in this now? Ain't no silent player in this. There's no country that's outside of the realm of this now. Pay attention. Every country from North America, South America, only place Antarctica ain't jumped in, and I don't think they're gonna jump in. I don't know if anybody over there, but every single nation now is at odds with each other. Every nation. I don't think nobody outside of the realm of fighting. I haven't seen anything just yet. I think right now what we're seeing is people choosing sides. And I'm sorry to say, U.S. is going to choose the side of Israel every single time. We might as well start calling Benjamin Netanyahu the president of the United States. Because that's all Biden is doing, is just sitting there. I'm just going to be honest. Pretty much. That's where we are right now, y'all. Every nation is in it. Africa, Asia, Russia, Asia. Well, I said Asia. U.S., North America, South America. Everybody's in the fight now. Have y'all noticed it? Everybody is in the fight. There's nobody missing in the fight. Nobody missing in the fight anymore. So we're literally at the brinks of a world war. Literally. It's going to take one event that's going to kick it off. The Rafah event, I hate to say it, is not, it's kicking something off, but it's going to have to be something like Pearl Harbor for everybody to go into pure war. Because think about it, every single word always starts out with Certain countries fighting amongst each other. The U.S. is not getting in it. U.S. is not getting in it. U.S. is not getting in it. And then all of a sudden, it's going to, I hate to say this, but it's going to become a world war when U.S. steps in. When the U.S. step into the fight, that's when. But the scary part is, I'm not even scared, but what's the interesting part is, they're no longer considered to be the hero. They always made the U.S. seem like U.S. is the hero. U.S. is the villain now, because Israel is the villain. The world stage is looking at the U.S. and saying, ICC needs to come for Israel and the U.S. I ain't never seen that before, y'all. I ain't never seen that before, y'all. And what's going on is the UN, ICC, ICJ, all these little acronyms is going to create their own entity. And I think NATO is going to create their own entity, and they're going to separate. Oh, y'all, it's going to be interesting. I'll say that much. Pray for the safety of all the people that are doing these videos as well. Please pray for everybody's safety, because it's going to get to the point that putting this out here is going to start getting dangerous, probably. It's going to probably start getting dangerous. Because the more the U.S. isolates themselves, the more they begin to lean towards Israel, the more censorship is going to be out there. More censorship. And then what happens is they start looking at individuals and start, they say they're going to put us in, they're going to put people in jail just for a little while. Y'all know that's prophecy right there. This is going to start becoming dangerous. This is going to start becoming dangerous, saints. This is going to become, putting this type of information out is going, because if you don't steer towards their narrative and you steer having your own mind, it's going to get dangerous. That's why you have situations like, for instance, you have the new bill that's out. That bill, was it HR 6090, where you're considered to be in trouble if you say anything. But have you ever heard of a bill that came out? They can't even get a anti-Black bill out. They can't get a bill to protect the Black community. And here it is. We're citizens here. We pay taxes. We pay taxes, and we can't even get a bill to protect us, but they got a bill to protect the other nation, where you can't say anti-Semitism without being thrown. You're going to get thrown in jail. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's already dangerous, but if I can still talk and people can still talk and do lives, it's not that dangerous. It's when, yeah, it's been on my spirit. But I mean, I'm not worried. I don't want y'all to think I'm worried. By no means am I worried, but just know this is real right here. This ain't fake. This ain't. I've heard people say, "Well, it's a propaganda to take our attention away from what's really going on." No, these nations really fighting. This ain't no fake war. This a real one. They fighting. They fighting for real. They fighting. Like, this ain't for play. This is for real. They fighting for real. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop until they end up utterly destroying themselves. And that's when you're going to see the Most High intervene, when they try to come for his people. And he's going to be like, yep, enough is enough. So, y'all, we're going to have a conversation about also the evangelicals in the Christian church now. Ain't nobody said a word, and they're promoting this genocide. I'm like, it's so much blood on y'all hands. There's so much blood on y'all hands. So, y'all, this was a good one. I actually need to get ready because I got to run some errands. I might do something tonight. I might do something tonight, depending on how I feel. I know I got some stuff I got to do. I got to get back to start backpacking. But y'all, keep everybody lifted. Keep everybody lifted. So. All right, family. All right. I will see y'all later. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Hopefully, fair use again for all the videos I played. I play some more stuff tonight, either tomorrow. So, all right. All right, family. Love you and good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.